Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler,
And I'm Molly.
and with the release of this year's Furiosa, a Mad Max story, I'm pretty sure that's what the movie is called, but I'm going to keep going anyways.
I think so.
We are going to be going over the Mad Max series.
Yep. As of well, I have only seen Mad Max Fury Road, and we just got done watching Mad Max.
Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Is that what I said?
You
I say
said
story?
something close. You were close, but not quite there.
Anyways, yeah. With that coming out soon, we're going to be looking at all four of the Mad Max movies that have come out since. Or
Yep.
have already come out. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. All the movies that there are.
Yes. We just got done with the first one. I showed you Fury Road some time ago because honestly it's really fun and I wanted to watch it. But yeah.
Yep. We sure did. We just got done watching the first Mad Max.
So, the original Mad Max, along with, well, all of them, including Furiosa, was directed by George Miller. Now, George Miller has a very, he has a very diverse filmography, to say the least.
Okay. What are some of his movies?
Well, just as a director, he did 3,000 Years of Longing, that one thing with Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton, where he is basically a genie to her.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Like I said, he did the Mad Max movies. He also did both Happy Feets,
It's already quite diverse.
Babe Pig in the City.
Oh, yeah.
He directed a music video for Tina Turner.
Interesting.
He was a director for one of the segments on Twilight Zone, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the stuff that most mainstream audiences would know about.
Yeah, I can tell. That is pretty diverse. You're right.
And out of all of those movies, guess which one he won an Oscar for?
I bet it was Happy Feet.
It was Happy Feet. He won Best Animated Feature for that movie.
Seems kind of weird, but okay.
Especially since he was nominated for Best Director for Fury Road.
Huh. Yeah.
Anyways, getting back to the original Mad Max, this was what was called an Ozploitation movie at the time. Now, I'm sure you've heard of exploitation movies, right?
Yes.
Basically, movies that engage in all sorts of violence, sex, and depravity that most normal movies wouldn't go in for, but they decided to do it because they just want to.
Mm-hmm. So what is a Ozploitation?
It's an exploitation movie that's Australian.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
This movie was also what put Mel Gibson on the map. He, of course, stars as Max Rockatansky, a highway patrol cop in the waning days of civilization. It's not quite the apocalypse, but it's a dystopian society with oil shortages and environmental concerns, as well as gangs running amok, doing whatever they please, killing, raping, and basically causing all sorts of destruction. And the dwindling police force that is stretched thin enough trying to take care of these men. Max, he's going a little mad.
I could tell. That is the title of the movie, after all.
When his partner, Jim Goose, played by Steve Bisley. Why do I do these things?
It's okay. We know what you mean.
When his partner Goose is assaulted by by a specific gang, that being Toe Cutter's boys. Toe Cutter being played by Hugh Keays-Byrne, who would go on to play Immortan Joe in Fury Road.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Pretty cool.
They ambush him and then light him on fire. We see in the hospital he's pretty burnt up. He's burnt up pretty badly. When that happens, Max, he wants nothing more to do with the police force. He wants out. But his boss, Fifi, that's a weird name for a muscular macho leather daddy man like we see, but no judgment.
Yeah, that is odd. I saw that in the credits, and I looked at the name Fifi for a while. I was like, don't remember who that is, but I was not expecting him.
Anyways, played by Roger Ward, gives him a couple weeks vacation and tells him to think about it. So Max takes his wife Jessie, played by Joanne Samuel, and their son, Sprague, played by Brendan Heath. And the weird thing is, Sprague is just Australian slang for a child. So they're just calling their son Kid.
Pretty bad name. I hope that's just a nickname.
Maybe, but then again, with how negligent they are with their child throughout the movie, who knows?
I know. They leave him in the car a lot, it seems. They leave him unsupervised a lot. Yeah. Poor kid.
Then again, this was Australia and in the 70s, so, it was a different time.
I guess.
So, yeah. And while they're on vacation, they get tracked down by Toe Cutter, who, along with his gang, run down Max's wife and kid. His wife is in the ICU in a coma, though it's implied that she is going to die, and their son is just killed outright, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
This leads to Max going on a mad revenge trip so that he can kill the people who took his family away from him.
Yep, and he sure does some revenging.
Yes, he does. So, as the first in the Mad Max series, what did you think of it?
It was quite different from Mad Max Fury Road, which is the only other Mad Max movie I've seen. Yeah, I think I was expecting it to be set more in like Mad Max Fury Road, but there was still some sort of government, however small it was, going on. So it wasn't quite like the other one. But yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, with the more simpler plot than we get in the next three movies, this one kind of stands out, but not necessarily in a bad way. A simple plot doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad. Just that it's just that it doesn't have a whole lot more. It doesn't have as much going on as the other movies do.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
But sometimes that's all you need. This is a tight hour-and-a-half runtime, and honestly, I feel like it was about the right amount of length.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. So yes.
So I'm just waiting for you to say something.
All right. So what was your favorite part of this?
I guess maybe Max's whole revenge thing, when he whips out his police uniform and gets in the car and
he gets the interceptor that he was offered at the start of the movie.
Yeah. And he starts going on his killing spree. Pretty cool.
On his rampage.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to movie cars, I feel like the Interceptor is one of, if not the absolute coolest one in all of film.
It does look pretty cool.
Sure, you got some really cool ones like the Batmobile or the Ecto-1 or any of James Bond's Aston Martins, but all those have some sort of different, they have some sort of gadgets, whether it be driving up walls, ejector seats, or the ability to help you capture ghosts. But from just a pure car perspective, the Interceptor takes it by far.
Yeah, there's no gadgets or anything. It's just a regular cool car.
It's just Max and his wheels, and that's all he needs.
Yep, that is all he needs.
Now, we don't get much of it in this movie. It really only gets used at the end during Max's rampage. but boy, is it put to good use.
Definitely.
It also isn't used much in Fury Road either, but that's okay. We're gonna get some other cool vehicles in that one too. It's been some time since I've seen the Road Warrior or Beyond Thunderdome, so we'll see how the Interceptor is utilized in those movies. But as far as the original and Fury Road go, yeah, I don't get much of the Interceptor for the time it is on screen. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's really cool.
Okay, so a lot of the extras that were recruited to play biker gang members were actual local bikers.
Nice. I mean, you got to get people who know how to ride their bikes, I guess.
And so this production was basically a shoestring budget. It was only a couple $100,000, in the budget to make this movie, and it ended up making around $100 million.
Oh, so pretty good profit there.
So for some time, it was the most profitable movie of all time.
Nice.
Now, I'm not sure what beat it out. It could have been Blair Witch Project. Could have been something else. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But yeah, they definitely got their money's worth.
Yeah, I'd say they made their money back.
So they had to pay the bikers in beer.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
No worries.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. It cost 300 to 400,000 Australian dollars, which I'm not sure how that translates to US, but
yeah, I have no idea about that. 300,000, is that what you said, to 400,000?
Yeah, 3 to 400,000.
I think I misheard the 1,000. But yeah, nice. I mean, yeah, it sounds like they made pretty good money for that.
Now, the events of this movie were actually partially inspired by real life tragic events. Actually.
Oh yeah.
George Miller, he wrote what he knew. He had lost friends in traffic collisions, as you should say.
Mm-hmm.
So he just took that inspiration and put it in the movie.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, this this movie was also made in part to show the dangers of reckless driving, which, I can see that.
Oh yeah, lots of reckless driving.
Overall, this movie it's a pretty fun ride. It doesn't have the high octane intensity that we get in the later Mad Max movies, but then again, it's not quite as apocalyptic either. So we're sort of ramping up into the apocalypse and the action that we get in later movies.
Yeah, it's a good beginning, a good start.
Very low budget. I'm extremely impressed by the movie that they were able to make with what they had, because like I said, this was a very cheap production, so they had to do what they could in order to get this thing done.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Overall, I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Next, we have Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Ooh, sounds cool.
It is cool. Before Fury Road came out, this was considered to be the best in the series, and I still think it is.
All right. Well, I'll have to give it a watch.
Following the success of the original Mad Max in Australia, a sequel came out just 2 years later.
Yep. The Road Warrior.
Initially released in the U.S. as just The Road Warrior, since the first Mad Max received an American dubbing because distributors were afraid that Americans wouldn't be able to understand the Australian accents. Bit silly, I know.
Yeah, a little silly.
It was initially released as a standalone movie with seemingly no connections to the first. However, when it became a huge hit, they decided to go back on the sequel connections and distribute it as Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior.
Yeah, since the first Mad Max wasn't very popular in the U.S. at the time of the release, I guess they were afraid that if it was Mad Max 2, Who would watch that if they didn't see the first one?
This is once again directed by George Miller and starring Mel Gibson as Max himself.
Yep. Young Mel Gibson.
This time the movie is actually set in the apocalypse. It's all decrepit. It's all a wasteland they're all existing in, and we have roaming gangs of criminals riding around on their motorcycles, trying to basically steal whatever anyone else has so that they can keep their existence going.
Yeah, a bunch of bad guys running around without any laws to protect anybody.
Max finds a settlement in the middle of the desert that is basically an oil oasis. They're able to fuel themselves and keep the gangs away, but not for long, as the gang has issued them an ultimatum: let them have the all the fuel and they can live. But obviously, they don't want to do that.
Yeah, they need the fuel for themselves. So, of course, they're not going to give away their own stuff.
Along the way, Max meets some colorful characters, one of which being a gyro captain. He flies this sort of like a bare bones helicopter that seats around 2 people. He's played by Bruce Spence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A pretty funny character.
Michael Preston plays the leader of the settlement, Pappagallo.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Max Phibbs plays the toady, another one of the settlers or something like that.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know anybody's name.
Vernon Wells plays Wes, our resident dragon of the Big Bad. He's the one with the red mohawk.
Okay. Yeah.
And his boy toy on the back of his motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I remember him.
Gajale Nielsen plays Lord Humongous, the main bad guy. Not much of a personal connection between him and Max, but eh.
Yeah, he's just a bad guy, and yeah.
Emil Minty plays the Feral Kid, as he's called in the credits.
Yeah, and that's all he is. He's just a feral kid.
Now, at the time that Fury Road was released, some fans had the theory that the Feral Kid ended up growing up to be the Max in Fury Road.
Okay, that's interesting.
It would have been that he grew up idolizing our main Max here and decided to take his name. But director George Miller came out and said that wasn't true.
Yeah.
The canonicity of Fury Road to the other movies is a bit weird.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's kind of a sequel, kind of a reboot, kind of neither at the same time. George Miller described it as a revisiting.
Okay.
But we'll get to that when we get to that. Now, as for Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, this was your first viewing of it, so what did you think?
Well, it was very action-packed. Quite action-packed, actually. There was, very few moments where the characters were just kind of talking. It just seemed like, there was more action scenes than not.
I agree, and we get a lot of action, and we get a lot of good action, too.
Yeah, a lot of cool stunts, a lot of crashing and explosions and fire, and it's pretty cool.
So Max agrees to help this settlement out so that he can get fuel of his own for his interceptor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he with the help of the gyro captain, they backtrack to earlier when Max found this old semi truck way down the ways. So what he's going to do is he's going to drive it back to the settlement so that they can transport their fuel and get themselves to a safer place.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the plan.
Now, throughout most of this movie, Max he's very withdrawn. He's not really friendly. He's not doing anything for, just to help others. There's got to be something in it for him, which makes sense. Given the situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's that?
Well, the post-apocalyptic wasteland they're all in. You can't exactly be helping people for nothing.
That's true, yeah. And he, I guess, mainly wants fuel. Fix his car up.
He's not interested in joining this group of people, because why bother getting close to people who are most likely going to die?
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
After the death of his wife and son in the first movie, plus his partner, he's not really too interested in really maintaining any close connections anymore.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do die in these movies.
Which is good for the sake of actually having stakes. If everyone got out of these things alive, then what's the point?
Yeah, it would just, I mean, it wouldn't be quite as exciting or suspenseful whenever we knew that things were going to be okay.
However, eventually Max he realizes that other people have lost just as much, if not more, than he has, so why not help them out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he agrees to be the driver of the oil rig? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Making sure I wasn't saying the wrong word.
Yeah, in this post-apocalyptic world, gas, or gasoline, as they call it, is a very rare commodity. So everyone's fighting over this. Everyone's trying to get what they can. We see Max at a few times scavenging fuel from other wrecks.
Yeah, I mean, if it's that rare, you definitely need to get it whenever you can.
Yeah, the dead don't need it anymore, so why not take it?
Yeah, they definitely don't.
We see cracks of the man that Max used to be shine through here and there, such as at one point when he first finds that big rig, he finds a music box in the previous owners, on their body, and we get a small smile from him, as maybe he's remembering how maybe he used to sing Happy Birthday to his own kid. That was what the music box was playing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess you got to appreciate the small things whenever you live in a place like that.
Yeah, it's not really a society anymore.
I was about to say society, but I was like, well, that's about the opposite of what it is.
It's really an interesting way of doing things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I really like about this one is how little dialogue is actually needed for the story.
Yeah, that's true. There is not a lot of talking going on. It is mainly action.
Like we said, Max is a very closed-off individual. He's not too talkative in this movie. Throughout the whole movie, he only has 16 lines.
Yeah. He doesn't really have anybody to talk to, so, I mean, it makes sense he doesn't talk a lot.
And Mel Gibson can get through what he's thinking with just his face alone, which is pretty impressive for an actor to be able to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so both Mel Gibson and George Miller have called this their favorite entry in the series.
Well, yeah, it's pretty cool. Very action-packed.
So, as you probably would have guessed, there was some injuries on the set with all the stunts going wrong.
Oh, I bet so.
One of them, one of the more spectacular ones in the movie, one of the motorcycle riding gang members hit a car, flew off, and then smashed his legs against the car and cartwheels through the air. That was a real accident. That wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Oh, wow.
The
Oh, no.
the stunt that we laughed at and thought was kind of cool. Yeah, the stuntman broke his leg.
Jeez. Oh, I feel bad thinking it was a cool stunt then.
He survived though, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. Still, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's dedicated stunt performers like that make me really think the Academy needs to recognize stunt work.
Yeah, you would think that it would be a category already.
Well, it took them this long to get a casting Oscar in order, and it also took them almost 90, or if not more than 90 years to realizing that sound mixing and sound editing are basically the same thing. So why award Oscars, two Oscars for the same thing?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's a bit silly, but so is the Academy.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, like I said, the take that they got of the guy breaking his leg with that stunt gone wrong is the one that they kept in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'm sure the guy who broke his leg understands.
So there was some things about what could have been in this movie, about how they could have done things differently.
Okay, like what?
So the main bad guy, Lord Humongous, was at one point supposed to be Max's old partner, Goose.
I thought he died.
No, he just got very horribly burned.
Yeah, you're right. That might have been cool.
Well, he wasn't confirmed dead, at least.
Yeah, he was technically still alive in the movie. Yep.
This obviously didn't make it into the movie, but there are some details that are left over from it.
Mm-hmm. Well, he wears a mask.
Well, yeah, he does wear a mask, which is it looks very much like the hockey mask that Jason Voorhees would wear. Mm-hmm. This movie came out 1 year before Friday the 13th Part 3, where Jason first wore the hockey mask. So it's not a case of this movie copying it.
Yeah, just kind of coincidence, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, the pistol that Humongous uses is a very similar one used by the MFP in the first movie.
Okay, yeah.
He looks like he has some pretty bad burn scars underneath his mask, and as we saw from the back of his head.
Yeah, you could tell he's bald and kind of scarred up. Yep.
He has speeches about losing people you care about and ending the suffering, which hints at a more conflicted and tragic personality.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. If you want, I guess you could have a headcanon that it's still him, and he's for some reason after Max in revenge for not being able to save him. But then again, his beef in the movie isn't really with Max for the most part. It's mostly with the it's mostly with the settlers in their fuel. It's totally only incidental that Max becomes in between them.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's whatever.
Let's see. The movie was also originally supposed to be dubbed over with an American English voice track, replacing the Australian dialogue like the first movie, but they obviously didn't go with that.
Weird. Okay. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Oh, apparently, Wes's partner, the twink in the back on the motorcycle, wasn't actually supposed to be his partner like that.
Oh, well, that's sure what it seemed like.
Well, this is according to Vernon Wells, so whether this is true or not, unknown. But according to him, there was a deleted scene which explained that he rescued this guy as a kid and became a father figure to him.
Oh, well, yeah. That's left out. So how am I supposed to know that?
I don't know. But anyways, Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior is a pretty fun, exciting movie, and it helps us understand. Well, it doesn't really help us understand Max's character very much, given how little he speaks. But it gives us a I don't know, what would you call it?
I'm not for sure. I don't know what word you're looking for.
I don't know. It gives us a new look at him, what he's doing during the apocalypse. Because in the first movie, we weren't there yet.
Yeah. We were almost there, but not quite.
We get to see how this man deals with life, and honestly, he's not doing that bad.
Yeah, he's a pretty tough guy. He seems to have things figured out.
Now, so far, you would assume that the Mad Max series would be a pretty influential thing.
I guess so.
Well, so far, the first and second movies have inspired countless people. The first one in particular, manga author Bronson has said that the first Mad Max movie inspired him to create his manga Fist of the North Star.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a very action-packed movie that, I mean, was definitely the first one to kind of do this whole, type of thing. So it makes sense that it was so inspirational.
James Wan and Lee Wannell credited the first movie's final scene where Max handcuffs Johnny's his ankle to a car and gives him a hacksaw to cut it off or cut through the handcuffs to escape, inspired the entire Saw franchise.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
James Cameron also credits this series, along with Star Wars, for having an influence on him.
Pretty cool.
And, of course, the Fallout games also list Mad Max as one of its influences.
Yeah, I could see that.
As for Mad Max 2, on the other hand, filmmakers like Guillermo del Toro, David Fincher, Robert Rodriguez, Zack Snyder, and the video game director Hideo Kojima have all cited Mad Max 2 as one of their favorite movies.
All right. Pretty cool.
The late Akira Toriyama's 1982 manga Mad Matic was inspired by Mad Max 2.
Yeah, similar title, yeah.
Jamie Hewlett and Alan Martin, the creators of Tank Girl, described her as Mad Max designed by Vivienne Westwood.
Okay.
Waterworld co-creator David Twohy cited Mad Max 2 as a major influence on the film, and it also helps that both movies share the same cinematographer, Dean Semler.
Oh, yeah.
Other video games that were inspired by Mad Max or its sequels include Max Payne, Twisted Metal, Carmageddon, Borderlands, Rage, and Fuel.
Okay.
Mortal Engines author Philip Reeve said that Mad Max 2 was an influence on his creation.
Never read that.
And another person who was influenced by Mad Max 2, Anthony Bourdain.
Oh. With what?
Episode 8 of Season 2 of his television series A Cook's Tour is set in Australia and features a Road Warrior theme. The final shot mimics the departing scene from the movie with Bourdain standing in for Gibson.
Oh, pretty cool.
As well, Anthony Bourdain sure did know how to pick him.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, in comparison to the first movie and Fury Road, how does this one stack up for you?
I mean, it's pretty cool since, I mean, it was so influential and it was like, yeah, just so different of a movie, I guess. I may have liked it more than the first one. But I don't know. I don't know right now.
Yeah, I may have to watch Fury Road again in order to really judge if I still like this one more than that. It's possible I may change my mind, but We'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, this one's pretty cool.
That it is. This movie's only an hour and a half long, but it feels longer. But I mean that in a good way. It feels like we just got to the end of a massive undertaking, like a long journey that was incredibly intense and just really, really difficult to get through, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, you kind of feel tired after the movie, and you can relax when it's over. You're like, okay, we made it. We survived.
All right. Do you have anything more to say on The Road Warrior?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So we will move to the next one, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
All right.
Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is the final in the original Mad Max trilogy, and also the final Mad Max movie to star Mel Gibson in the titular role.
Yep. And this was my first time watching it.
Given Mel Gibson's, shall we say, controversial public and private life, probably a good indicator that he's not going to be in another Mad Max movie. Given that, plus George Miller just doesn't have any plans for an old Max story.
Yeah, I'm not really expecting him to appear in any other movies.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Mel Gibson's homophobic, sexist, racist, anti-Semitic, and other very controversial comments he's made over the years, if it wasn't for all that, then, but still, like I said, George Miller doesn't have any plans for another Mad Max movie with, he doesn't have any plans for an older Max story.
Oh, like a prequel?
No, like an old Max. Like Max as an old man.
Oh, I get what you mean. I was thinking the completely opposite thing.
Anyways, but Mad Max Thunderdome, I feel like is a pretty good send off to the original Mad Max character.
Yeah. I think so.
Given the era of legacy sequels we've been in, maybe it's for the best that Gibson's original Max doesn't show up again.
Yeah, maybe.
Given how characters like Luke Skywalker and Rambo weren't given the best exit entries, it's for the best.
Yeah.
But given what we got for other characters like Johnny Lawrence, Daniel LaRusso, Maverick, and Rocky Balboa, maybe it could be interesting.
Yeah, it always could be.
But enough of that. Let's get to the actual movie. So, once again, this movie stars Mel Gibson as Max.
Yeah, of course.
Bruce Spence comes back as, turns out, another character. He was previously in The Road Warrior as the gyro captain, but here he's just a pilot.
Okay, that makes sense because him and Max did not recognize each other, so that explains why.
Well, the first scene where he saw Max when he got to Bartertown, it seemed like he did recognize him. Like, oh, hey, it's that guy I knew back then.
That's because he just stole the camels from him. Did you not see that? Oh. In the beginning?
Yeah.
So that's why I thought he was just looking at Max like, huh, I stole that guy's camels. That's what I thought anyways.
Yeah. It would make sense that they would be the same character, but they're not. They're just played by the same actor who has the exact same job, more or less.
Yeah, kind of weird. They made him a pilot.
Tina Turner is the big star in this movie. She plays Auntie Entity, the leader of Bartertown. Now, Bartertown seems to be this place where people come and go to, well, barter, really.
Yeah. I mean, not a very creative name for the town, but hey, if that's what goes on there.
They don't have time to be creative in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Here in Bartertown, they also have the Thunderdome, which, given by the name of this name of this movie, I thought that the Thunderdome was going to be a lot bigger and also a lot more important to the plot.
Yeah, when really the Thunderdome is just like a small caged area that takes up 30 minutes of the movie, maybe.
Not even 30.
Not even 30, yeah.
More like closer to 5.
I guess it felt like 30.
Yeah, that's another thing for this movie. It feels long, and like not in the good way that the Road Warrior felt, where you feel like you got to the end of a really long journey, but in the way that it's like, just get it over with already, please.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely felt like it was taking a while.
And given this movie series' emphasis on vehicle-based combat, I figured that it was going to be like this Coliseum where they race each other in gladiatorial death matches, something like that. But no, it's just a cage match.
Yeah, not too impressive.
It's fun, at least, so we're not completely disappointed. But still, I expected a bit more, especially for something that's in the title of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. For something that is in the title, you think it would be more important. But yeah, I guess the scene was fun. It didn't take up as much time as what I thought.
Now, there's a few things I thought during this movie that it turned out to be exactly that. So, the person that Max fights in the Thunderdome, Blaster, he's this he's basically the muscle behind this little person who basically runs all the important stuff in Bartertown, like getting rid of the waste. He runs the heating, electricity, the power, all that stuff. He's basically his muscle, and at one point he gets unmasked during the Thunderdome fight scene, and we see he's how do I put this delicately?
Mentally slow, mentally handicapped.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
And I was thinking, it looks like he's played by two different people, because to me his like the actor's body and the head didn't match up. Turns out that's because he was played by two different people.
Oh, that makes sense.
He was played by an actor named Paul Larson for most of his scenes, but then for the unmasking scene, they cast Stephen Haynes, who had Down syndrome.
Makes sense.
And also during the movie, I felt like this was two different movies stitched together, because we have the stuff with Max in Bartertown, where he comes there, he's trying to get his stuff back, and he basically has to work with the leadership of this place in order to get everything back. And then after he gets banished from there, he comes across basically this Lord of the Flies Neverland sort of group of children who are all feral and stuff, and they've built a society around what the world used to be. It's kind of interesting, actually, but these two things clearly don't match up at all.
Yeah, they are quite different from each other. Yeah, like you said, two different movies. It is a little odd how that's what they chose for the progression of the movie. I don't know.
But it turns out that this wasn't even supposed to be a Mad Max movie originally. It was supposed to be some sort of Lord of the Flies movie about this group of kids who are found by an adult. But George Miller, he suggested that it's Max be the one who finds the kids. And then obviously you got to show how he gets there.
Yeah, he's got to get there somehow.
These two halves of the movie just don't match up at all. They're interesting enough stories, but they seem kind of weird put together.
It does seem weird put together. It's like two pieces that aren't quite clicking together. It's very, very odd. An odd choice, I would say.
All right, so this is the only Mad Max movie that George Miller didn't direct by himself. During the production of the movie, one of the producers on the last couple of movies, Byron Kennedy, had died in a helicopter crash. George Miller was he was in mourning for production, of course. So he just couldn't do the whole thing. So he split director duties with George Ogilvy. Miller handled the action sequences, and Ogilvy handled the narrative ones. And yeah, it does show, but honestly, it's pretty. It works okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always gonna get something a little. I don't know, with two directors that aren't quite on the same page. You know, might not turn out as great. The tone might be a little off. Which I think might be what happened there.
Yeah, in some with some movies like Rogue One, where we have Gareth Edwards doing the majority of the movie, and then someone else come in and do several reshoots for things that change up entire scenes that were seen in the trailers. It's not too distinct because the whole movie seems pretty seamless. And then you have cases where with 2017's Justice League, where Joss Whedon comes in to direct some stuff after Zack Snyder left production, and it's incredibly noticeable how different these changes are.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think having two different directors affected this movie pretty negatively?
Not really. Given how... I mean, I would say it's different from the other Mad Max movies, but as for this movie, I think it turned out fine.
Yeah, it's definitely different than the others. Quite a different tone and plot.
Yeah, we got an idea of how different the tone would be, like literally as soon as the movie starts, because we get this pop song being sung by Tina Turner, and it's an okay song, but it's like, this does not match up with what the other two movies were doing at all.
Yeah, you're right. It was already different as soon as it started.
Not necessarily bad, just different.
Yeah. Very different.
In the first two movies, we get a sort of a gritty world that is teetering on the brink, and then we see it after it's been pushed off the edge. Here, they're off the edge, clearly. They're so far off the edge that you can't even see the edge anymore. And at this point, society's entirely broken down. They're forming thunderdomes out in the middle of the desert, doing whatever they want. And yeah, I guess it works, but there's I feel like there's a loss of some sort of harshness to this movie that we got in the other two.
Yeah, it's a bit
silly.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. It's a bit more lighthearted. Not quite as violent. So, yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah, in the first two movies, a lot of Max's friends, family, and other companions end up dying in some way or another. Here, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. But yeah, you're right.
And sometimes the score reflects that too, because it gets a little too whimsical whenever some of these Lord of the Flies children are around.
Yeah. I noticed that the songs were a bit more happy, upbeat, not quite as menacing or, threatening.
Although we do get a nice bit of music at the end whenever they're flying away. That was more in keeping with the series' roots.
Yeah, plus it matched, what was going on. They escaped, so everything's good.
And at the end, like with the end of The Road Warrior, we get someone telling a story about Max, this legendary figure of the wasteland, and it really fits for these movies.
That's pretty cool.
And it also leads into Fury Road quite nice, which again you could see as just another tale of Max in the wasteland.
Yep.
Speaking of which, there was one of the feral children kind of looked like one of the war boys in Fury Road. I doubt that was intentional, but it was just funny in hindsight.
Yeah, I don't know. They may have based their looks off of him.
Yeah, maybe George Miller went back to that and said, "Oh, I want to do that."
Maybe.
What did you think of this movie, though, in the long run?
Well, it is quite different than the others. I don't think I liked it as much. It is probably my least favorite. But it wasn't like incredibly awful, I guess, you know.
Yeah, it's not a movie I dislike. It's just I prefer literally every other one.
Yeah, I think so. Have I seen all of them now?
Yes, you have.
Okay, cool. So I'm caught up. So yeah, this one was my least favorite.
Well, I think we're gonna have to watch Fury Road again to really judge for sure, though.
Okay, sounds fair enough.
I know we watched it in the last couple of weeks, or was it last month?
It was either last month or the month before.
I gotta check my letterbox.
Yeah.
But let's watch it again. It's awesome.
Okay, if you insist.
So next we have Fury Road, not the latest in the Mad Max series anymore, but probably the most fun.
Yep. Well, let's give it another watch and see.
Mad Max Fury Road was the first Mad Max movie in 30 years after Beyond Thunderdome, and it was the first one to star someone who wasn't Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense since, it's 30 years, so, a new actor to take his place is acceptable.
Now, where this fits in the timeline is kind of, it doesn't.
Not really, no.
It's sort of like just a reimagining or a revisiting of the Mad Max character, given how it's implied that Max, he appears as a legend in the stories of others.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty different than the Mel Gibson Max.
But still basically the same.
Yeah, the same but different.
This is once again directed by George Miller and stars Tom Hardy as the titular Mad Max.
He's mad and he's Max.
It's implied that essentially the same stuff happened to him as did the original Max. So, yeah.
Yeah, it seems that way. Seems like he has a tragic history.
Yeah, he said in the opening that he used to be a cop, and he gets flashbacks of people that he couldn't save in his past.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron stars as Imperator Furiosa, one of the top lieutenants of the Immortan Joe, played by Hugh Keays-Byrne, an actor from the original Mad Max, who previously played Toe Cutter. Now he's a completely different character, sort of like with Bruce Spence playing two different characters in The Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult plays Nux, one of Joe's war boys. Joe has this cult of personality around him where he's the demagogue of this society that keeps people hostage by holding water over their heads and telling them that you can have a little bit, but you gotta wait till the next week or so.
Yeah. And Nux is one of these characters turned good throughout the movie.
Yeah, he starts the movie off as just another one of Joe's war boys who basically worships him and treats him as their god emperor, more or less.
Basically, yeah.
Josh Hellman plays Slit, one of the other war boys who gets some attention. It's funny that both he and Holt are in this movie, given that they were both in 2 X-Men movies together. Holt as Beast and Hellman as Colonel Stryker.
Oh, yeah. Pretty cool.
Nathan Jones plays Rictus Erectus.
That's a pretty funny name.
One of Joe's sons. He's the more burly, beefy one, but he's a dumb boy.
Yeah, he's big and tough. He's the muscle.
He's basically just a huge man child.
Yeah, basically.
Zoe Kravitz, Rose Huntington Whiteley, Riley Keough, Abby Lee, and Courtney Eaton play Joe's harem of wives. Their names being Toast, Splendid, Capable, The Dag, and Cheeto. Oh, okay.
Cheeto.
Essentially, Joe keeps this harem so that he can have more sons, as he puts it. I don't think he wants a daughter.
Yeah, it sure doesn't seem like he wants anything to do with daughters. Yeah, or women.
Women that he's not putting babies in, he doesn't care for.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
And even then, he doesn't really care for them outside of their ability to give him boys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
John Howard and Richard Carter played the People Eater and the Bullet Farmer, 2 other warlords in a partnership with Joe. One of them, the People Eater, is the leader of Gastown. You can guess what they export.
I don't know.
And the Bullet Farmer, well, it says it right on the tin.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Then Megan Gale, Melissa Jaffer, and Melita Jurisic, alongside Gillian Jones and Joy Smithers, and Antoinette Kellerman and Christina Koch. There's a lot of these ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Play members of the Vuvolini. It's a group that Furiosa used to belong to before she was taken by Joe and his party.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's more or less the all of our major players. The funny thing with Megan Gale and Hugh Keys-Byrne, they were both supposed to be in George Miller's Justice League that he was developing in the mid-2000s before the writer's strike at the time basically put an end to that.
Oh.
She was supposed to play Wonder Woman, and we've since gotten pictures of what her Wonder Woman suit would have looked like, and Hugh Keys-Byrne would have played the Martian Manhunter.
Okay, pretty cool.
Yeah, it had a pretty interesting cast, including Armie Hammer and Anton Yelchin.
Very interesting.
Anyways, so Fury Road. Like I said, this was the first one in 30 years to come out, and what a way to come back.
Oh, yeah. It is quite the action-packed thrill ride movie of the year.
The year 2015.
Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely keeping it more in line with the first and the second movie's tone.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I said we talked about when we were talking about Beyond Thunderdome how the tone of that one was quite a bit more goofy than the first two. That's not to say that the Road Warrior wasn't goofy. It was at times. We have these leather-bound guys in assless chaps and all sorts of silliness like that. But still, the tone of the movie itself is more in keeping with the original than Thunderdome was.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, there was a harshness to those first two movies that Thunderdome just didn't quite capture. This one, I feel like does, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, especially since it's mainly taking place on vehicles. It kind of reverts back to, what was going on in like the first and second movie more, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And man, these vehicles are so cool. You could tell that there was a lot of creativity going into making these things.
Yeah.
You got the war rig. You got Joe's various vehicles. One of them is just a car stacked on top of another car with huge tires.
Yeah, it's kind of funny just how creative everything is.
You got cars with all sorts of spikes on them. You got cars that let you let gas into the cab so you can become a kamikaze driver. There's a lot of thought going into everything around here, and it's really interesting and fun to watch.
Oh yeah, it is loads of fun to watch. Very, I don't know. I just can't even describe it. It's just so chaotic.
Chaotic fun.
Yes, chaotic fun. That is a good word for it.
Now, when this movie came out, there was some quote-unquote controversy over the fact that this movie had a lot of, really badass and effective women in it.
Okay.
Mostly from whiners on the internet.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
And I feel like sometimes people kind of exaggerate things or blow them out of proportion. And I feel like maybe if this movie came out, I say now, but like 2015 was a long time ago. But I feel like if it came out now, some people might call it woke for having all these women in it in main roles. But on the other hand, I don't think they would.
Yeah, I could see some people being mad that and be like, "Oh, like it had to be women, Furiosa just had to be a woman." Even though, it's obviously there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and for, the main reason being she's an actually good character and not just a woman slapped in that role just to have one there.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. She's not just there to be the token female. She's actually capable and cool. And
No, someone else was capable. She's Furiosa.
You got me there.
Yeah, it's nonsense like that make me not really want to associate with people who use the word woke and stuff like that, because a lot of the times they're just using it because they want to disguise the fact that, oh, I don't like that there's black people or women in this movie or stuff like that. Like, no, it's ridiculous stuff like that make me not want to use that word or anything like that.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
It's not bad that there's women or people of color in the movie. It's only bad when they get put in there just to fill out a role, just to fill out a checklist. Be like, oh, we got our black guy, we got our woman, we got our gays. When it's stuff like that, then they're just using those people as a diversity check mark so that they can appeal to the people on Twitter, when it shouldn't be like that. It should be something where these people are in the roles because they're actually effective for the role.
Yeah, you can tell whenever those types of characters are just kind of thrown in there because their character is terrible and useless. Yeah.
And then you have something like Fury Road, where Furiosa, the wives, and the Vuvolini are all effective and interesting characters. It's stuff like that is good.
Yes, I agree with you.
But enough of that. I said this was a quote unquote controversy because it was like a 3-week long thing, and basically no one has brought it up again until right now, I guess.
Until you. Yeah.
Just trying to illuminate the climate that this movie came out in, just like we did with Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is another thing. This movie came out the year before Ghostbusters, yet like no one was actually, not a lot of people were attacking this movie for featuring women. There was that small vocal minority, sure, but for the most part, nobody cared.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Same thing with Wonder Woman. Same thing with. I want to name another example, but I can't off the top of my head right now.
It's okay. You don't have to.
Point is, you have a movie that features a strong woman. No one's gonna care because it's an actual strong character.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Now, so this movie didn't do very well financially speaking. It made around $400 million, but the cost of the movie plus advertising made Warner Brothers lose around $20 to $40 million. However, it got saved by a massive home video sale.
Yeah, I would say that kind of surprised me that it didn't do well because I hear a lot of people like this movie a lot.
Yeah, this is a lot of people's favorite Mad Max movie, and well, we'll do our rankings at the end of this.
Yeah, but like, there's always people talking about it. Like whenever you watch, top 10 movies or whatever, it's usually on the list of something,
Yeah, or like people naming their favorite action movies, and I'd say this is probably the best action movie of the 2010s.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it surprises me that it didn't do well in theaters, but I'm glad it made its money back.
Yeah, and we're getting a prequel spinoff based off of Furiosa that just came out this week, and we will be getting our review on that out later.
Yeah, soon. Hopefully we can watch it soon. We're busy people.
We got a little baby. We got a yard sale to do. We got all sorts of nonsense to take care of. So, yeah.
We're busy.
So, Charlize Theron actually came up with the idea for Furiosa to have a shaved head in this movie.
Oh, I wonder why. Just because it'd be cool?
Well, it'd be a lot more practical in this environment.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't want to keep up with my hair, and if I was, struggling to find water and stuff like that.
Megan Gale's character, Valkyrie, was originally supposed to live in this movie, but she got pregnant during production and had to leave early, so George Miller killed her character off.
Yeah, so was she actually pregnant, not wearing a fake belly or anything?
Well,
I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
She's really... Yeah. I would do that too. I'm like, I'm about to have a baby. Just kill me off, man.
Mel Gibson has seen the movie, and he apparently really liked it, and Tom Hardy's portrayal of Max.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So Melissa Jaffer, she was one of the Vuvolini in this, and so at the time she was 78 years old, and you want to know why she took it?
Why?
Because she thought it would be really awesome.
Well, yeah, it would be really awesome, especially 78. Woo!
And apparently all these old women do their own stunts too.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Speaking of stunts, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy stunt doubles on this movie. Apparently they fell in love and got married after they met on the set.
Aw, that's so romantic.
Which is in contrast with Hardy and Theron, who didn't really like each other on set.
Oh.
But eventually they learned to get along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Hardy also didn't have a very good relationship with George Miller at the time because he wasn't really sure what he didn't really believe in Miller's plan for the movie during filming. But after he saw it, he apologized to him. Like, look, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were actually him.
Didn't know it was actually going to turn out well. Yeah.
The Doof Warrior, the guy with the guitar that shoots fire. Well, first of all, that was a real guitar that could shoot fire. That's
pretty rad.
And again, the guitar worked too.
That makes it really cool.
He was just he was suspended on the truck for real.
Yeah, just playing the guitar. That's so cool.
And that first meeting of Furiosa and Max when they fought, that was partially Hardy and Theron letting out their annoyances with each other.
George Miller just said, "Yeah, all right, have at it. We're gonna record this."
Yeah, it was partially them just venting their annoyance, and Rose Huntington Whiteley compared it to standing back and letting mom and dad sort things out.
Yep. That's kind of funny.
All those cars and explosions in the movie, actual real cars and real explosives. All the stunt work in this movie. This is some of my favorite stunt work in any movie ever. This is just so incredible. The amount of things they're actually able to do.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Even for me, who, I'm action movies, I'm like, but this one is, it's really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's like top tier when it comes to action movies.
Yeah, I agree.
All these bikes jumping over stuff, all these guys on poles going back and forth, all these explosions and people hanging off of trucks and cars and stuff. It's all so fun.
Yeah, I think the poles looks fun. They're like, swinging around on the poles. I think that would be fun.
I think so.
Yeah, a lot of it looks fun.
A lot of the characters in this movie are just okay. So this takes place in Australia, right?
Sure.
Basically, like none of the main cast are actually Australian.
Yeah.
You got Tom Hardy, Nicholas Hoult, and Rose Huntington Whiteley, who are British.
Mm-hmm.
Riley Keough and Zoe Kravitz are American.
Yep.
Which Riley Keough is actually the granddaughter of Elvis Presley.
Fun fact.
And since the death of her mother, she's now the sole owner of Graceland.
Pretty cool.
Charlize Theron was born in South Africa and currently lives in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, fun fact, she was actually one of the first African-American actresses to win Best Lead Actress at the Oscars.
Yeah. That's kind of funny, but yeah. I mean, she is from South Africa, so...
Most of the other cast in the movie is Australian, though, so this is just the thing with the main.
Yeah. That's okay. It doesn't bother me that not everyone's Australian.
Let's see. Yeah, this movie also continues a tradition of just hiding Tom Hardy's beautiful face behind some sort of mask or something.
Yeah, he does wear that mask a while.
Because you got The Dark Knight Rises, you got Dunkirk, you got this, you got Venom.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they just like to cover up his face.
I don't know why they would. Dude is stunning.
I guess, yeah.
So I mentioned during the movie that Riley Keough met her husband on the set of this movie too.
Yeah, who was her husband?
A stuntman, Ben Smith Peterson.
Yeah, fall for the stuntmans, yeah. Stuntmans.
So there was an article on a blog that called for a boycott of this movie because they accused it of being feminist propaganda that would destroy a classic of American culture.
Well,
first of all, Mad Max isn't an Australian thing.
Yeah.
This isn't an American thing. It's Australian.
Yeah. You said it wrong. Yeah, you corrected it. Yep.
And funny thing, George Miller didn't write this movie with women in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He just wrote awesome characters.
Yeah. That's good.
Although the fact that although that's probably more focusing on Furiosa, given the wives, I'd imagine would be written to be women.
Yeah, I would think, but
This actually ended up drawing a lot of attention to this movie that probably would have gone under the radar, though I don't really think it would, given that it's a Mad Max movie. Mad Max is a pretty well-known name at this point, although Fury Road probably did help out a lot.
I would think so.
So there was some stuff that could have been from this movie. Some things were different, such as Immortan Joe's original design was going to be different, of course. Mel Gibson was originally supposed to return as Old Max, but this movie was in development for such a long time that he just decided not to do it. His various controversial comments of the anti-Semitic, racist, sexist, homophobic, and whatever other ist he's just done and we don't know about probably didn't help either.
I would say not.
At one point, the studio and George Miller considered making this a PG-13 release, which honestly wouldn't have changed it that much.
No, I don't think so. Is it just... What is it?
It's R.
Oh. That surprised me, because I guess I thought it was PG-13, because I guess, is it just for violence or whatever?
The violence and the brief nudity.
Oh, yeah, there is nudity.
But given that Kate Winslet showed her titties in Titanic, and that was just PG-13, I feel like they could have gotten away with a PG-13 rating with this one.
Yeah, I think so, because I was focusing more on, like, the language, and I was like, I don't really remember that much bad language, so...
I think they might have dropped the F-bomb once, which you can do in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
And the violence wasn't too over the top.
I didn't think so. I think they could have got away, with PG-13, but I don't know.
The most... Because Beyond Thunderdome was PG-13, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look that up.
Okay.
But, yeah... There isn't much violence in this movie beyond when Joe gets his face ripped off.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just desensitized, but I didn't think that was that
Not
bad.
really, but maybe they just figured, we got an R, it's fine.
Yeah.
But then again, given that Beyond Thunderdome has a PG-13 rating, and it's the, I don't want to say the worst in the franchise, but the least good, maybe.
Yeah. I do think it's also the lesser, I don't know, the less vulgar or whatever, I don't know.
So a lot of people were considered for the role of Max in this movie.
Like who?
Well, given that this movie was... It had a long development, given a lot of things going on, including wars in the area that this movie was set to film in.
Oh, yeah?
Jeremy Renner wanted it at one point. At another point, Michael Biehn was considered for it. I'm assuming this is back in the 90s, when he was still young. Or maybe the 2000s.
Who'd you say?
Michael Biehn. Kyle Reese.
Oh, okay.
Other people considered were Michael Fassbender, Armie Hammer. I say that, but he hasn't really been found guilty of any actual crimes. Like, at most, he just has weird kinks and cheated on his wife. Which
Still not good.
Yeah, not good, just not illegal.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, sure, there's the cannibalism thing, but like that's just weird kinks. We don't know if he's actually eaten anyone.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, that's how it should be, but unfortunately, the social media likes to see it the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, that is quite an intense thing to be accused of, so...
Let's see. Joel Kinnaman, Rick Flag from the Suicide Squad movies.
Okay.
Channing Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Heath Ledger before he died.
Oh.
So that tells you how long this movie was in production.
Yeah, that is a while, yeah.
Sam Worthington and Eric Bana were rumored for the role, but they were never approached. I feel like they went with the right actor. Tom Hardy was amazing in this role.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Gal Gadot was considered for Furiosa. I'm fine with Charlize Theron. I like Gal Gadot. Okay, she's a nice Wonder Woman, but Charlize Theron, come on.
Yeah, she did good.
So this movie was actually nominated for several Academy Awards, more than you would think for, a movie like this, an action movie. For one, it was nominated for Best Picture and Best Director.
Yeah, Best Picture to Best Director. Yeah, that is pretty shocking, I guess, compared for what the type of movie it is.
It lost both. I haven't seen Spotlight, but it lost Best Director to Alejandro G. Iñárritu for The Revenant, which is okay, fine. Definitely prefer Fury Road, but The Revenant's all right.
Yeah. I prefer Fury Road too because I thought The Revenant was a little too long and boring for me.
It came out great in the technical categories like sound editing and sound mixing, which are one category now.
Yeah.
Production design.
Cool.
It also lost cinematography to The Revenant, which is absolutely ridiculous. This is one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. It's like the shots and just the angles we get and the coloring. Oh my god, this is excellent.
Yeah. You're real mad about that, huh?
Seriously, the camera work in this movie is incredible. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool.
It also won Best Makeup and Hairstyling and Best Costume Design.
Yeah, I can see that.
As well as film editing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty important aspect of film.
Yes.
It also lost visual effects, but it lost to Ex Machina, so I'm not too upset about that.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, how many Oscars was that?
6.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Pretty impressive for a movie like that. And the other ones that it got nominated for in general, also pretty impressive. But it's also pretty... I doubt George Miller was too upset about losing that Oscar, considering he has one for Happy Feet.
That's pretty funny that this, like, insane, crazy all effects and everything movie didn't get a Best Picture Oscar, but Happy Feet did.
Well, Best Animated Feature.
Well, you know what I mean.
It's also weird to say, like, Mad Max Fury Road is from the same guy who brought us Happy Feet 2, and Babe, Pig in the City.
Yeah, it's quite different tones there.
The man has a very diverse filmography, and I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have, a lot of diverse work under your belt.
Now, do you have anything more to say on Fury Road itself?
No, I mean, I'll just say that, yeah, for a girl like me who's not too into action movies, it was very fun to watch. It was a thrill ride the whole way through, so pretty good.
Yeah. I would have liked to see a little bit more emphasis on Max, given that he's the title character and all.
Yeah.
But just a little more. I feel like he still gets plenty of attention.
I think so, yeah.
Tom Hardy only had 63 lines in this movie, which is still around 4 times more than Mel Gibson had in The Road Warrior. But still, it just goes to show that this is not a character who really needs to have very verbose and eloquent dialogue and stuff like that.
Yeah, he definitely does not need to speak. He can just do his action stuff. Yeah, he snapped a lot. And that's all he needed, really.
Furiosa herself didn't get that many more lines. She only had 80 in this movie. So the same thing can be said about her. This is a very visual movie.
Yeah. Their actions speak louder than their words.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. I came up with that saying, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
So, who was your favorite character in this one?
You know what? I think I'll go with my main girl, Furiosa.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I gotta have that, girl power.
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, she's cool. What else can I say? She's, like, totally awesome.
Max would be my favorite for the entire franchise, but for this one, I'm also gonna say Furiosa.
Mm-hmm. She's cool, right?
She's cool. She's capable. She has a plan and she knows what she's doing.
She do. Yeah.
Okay, so what is your ranking of the Mad Max movies, going from least favorite to most favorite?
Least to most. I will have to say least is probably Thunderdome. And then, let's see. I'm trying to remember the first one compared to the second. I think, so we'll go, okay, I think I got it. We'll go Thunderdome, and then we'll go the first Mad Max, and then the second one, Road Warrior, right?
Yeah.
And then this one at the top. What's yours?
Mine is pretty similar. I have from worst to first. I have Beyond Thunderdome. It's all right. It's just this is just two movies stitched together.
You're right. It is.
You know, it's very, very, very tone clashing, which, you know, not every movie has to have a consistent tone the whole way through, but such a dramatic shift like that, it's just. Eh. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a detour midway through. That's fine. This movie does that. Like halfway through this movie, we find the Vuvolini, and you know they later help Max and Furiosa. But like, here's the thing though, it doesn't take a complete detour and completely halt at this for a good while.
Yeah, you're right.
Which another thing, Fury Road is the longest movie in the series. It's 2 hours long, but it feels faster than Thunderdome, which is a good 20 minutes shorter.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
Next would be the first Mad Max. It's a very basic and it's a very simple story. It does its simple story well though. I like it. Mm-hmm. But again, it is simple. It doesn't have quite the same stakes or really action as the others, which it does include Thunderdome to an extent. But still, I feel like the original Mad Max is a more consistent story, helps it overtake the Thunderdome.
Yeah, I'll agree.
My second favorite. Now this is hard because these last two.
It's hard for you.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I'd say ever so slightly behind my number one would be Fury Road. This is an amazing movie. It's very well acted, well choreographed. The action is incredible. I wish the story was just a little bit stronger, though.
That's fair.
And my favorite is The Road Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have quite the heights of action that Fury Road has. That's a given. I just like the story better in that one, which Fury Road's story is similar to The Road Warriors. Max has to help a group of people transport this tanker away from a warlord.
Yeah, pretty similar.
Pretty similar. The similarities do stop around there though, but they do have a similar thing. Think Fury Road as taking the bare bones of the Road Warrior story, but amplifying everything.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, you got good picks.
Fury Road is just slightly below the Road Warrior. At times, Fury Road is my favorite. It's just, it all depends.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that will do it for the Mad Max series. Next, we are going to be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
Yep. We'll see how it stacks up to the series.
Oh, one more thing actually. Now that I see one of our cats sniffing at your pregnant belly.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
So at one point in the movie, so Joe's favorite wife, Splendid, she basically acts as a human shield for Furiosa at times.
Yeah.
And years ago, before I even met you, when I watched this movie, and I saw her just in pain holding her pregnant belly, I was just thinking, oh, is she about to give birth or something like that?
Yeah.
But now I see, no, that's just pregnancy pains. That just happens.
They hurt, man. I have them all the time now.
You learn different things after you're expecting a baby with your wife.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true.
So now that'll do it for us.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.